Hello, everybody, and welcome to the official Team Resolute Spider-Man PS4 podcast.
Wait a minute.
We're changing it up this week, and we'll be talking about nothing but Spider-Man.
Okay, Hove, you've had your fun. This is RezoCast, episode 101. We are talking about Destiny 2 Forsaken. We've got so much to talk about. We put off the story last week. No, I can't, Hove.
Don't cut that out.
We're not going to talk about it. Oh, I won't. There's no way.
Talk That's about Spider-Man. You want to bet?
Oh, I mean, I will for sure let you go on a very small. I mean, here's the deal. That game looks awesome.
It is awesome.
It looks really
cool.
Look
awesome. Still haven't played.
But it's really difficult to even think about it whenever Destiny 2 Forsaken's out and the grind is real. And there's so many different things to do. I can't even figure out what I want to do right now. And we haven't talked about the story on the podcast and the raid's coming out tomorrow. And if you're listening to the podcast on iTunes, that means the raid's coming out today.
It's probably already out.
Yeah, no, I don't know. We'll see. But this is Lego, and I'm here with Hove and Triton. Man and Wilson aren't here this week, but that just gives us more ample time to give you our detailed thoughts on the Forsaken story and all the gear we've acquired and our subclasses we've been running. We are I'm hyped, so hyped right now to talk about how fun so many different weapons are, all the story stuff. But Hove, how's your week been?
It's been really good. Still getting used to the new job. I really like it because I don't have to do anything. Been playing a lot of Spider-Man. It's not quite as, I've still played some Destiny. I told you guys once the 7th rolled around, I was probably done playing Destiny because Spider-Man was out. It hasn't quite been that severe, but I played a lot of Spider-Man. It is everything you would hope for from a Spider-Man game in 2018, with the MCU going on and everything else. It's fantastic from a Spider-Man point of view and from just a game point of view. Do you know what the thing that is the most gut-wrenching for me, though, the hardest thing I have to deal with while playing Spider-Man?
I don't know. I keeping yourself from thinking about the current state of the Avengers. I don't know.
No.
Okay.
I just recently, I think just last night, I unlocked, because the city's really big. It's a true to life New York.
Dang.
So I just unlocked fast travel, which seems great, right?
But you just want to sling.
But you're
your web
fucking
everywhere.
Spider-Man. I want to swing everywhere, because they did that is one thing. I was very not skeptical, but I was hesitant with all the different things you can do as Spider-Man, the way he jumps around and does all kinds of crazy shit and everything. Mm-hmm. And it's not there's a different button for every super, but they did a very, very good job of making it feel like you can do all kinds of different things and knowing when to do them. Even the fighting, there's just so many different little it's very God of War-esque. If you haven't played God of War.
No.
But the fighting system, as far as different weapon systems, and I don't know, it's really good. I like it. And so I'm gonna jump off now. I'm gonna go play Spider-Man, and you guys have a good show.
Haven't you been pronouncing it wrong this whole time? Isn't it Spooderman?
Well, for the masses, I wanna.
Okay.
I'm just going with Spider-Man, but Spooderman is correct.
That's been Hove's response to every invite to do anything Destiny related at night recently. Is sorry, Spooderman. That's it. Just Spooderman.
I got I wasn't even trying to do it on purpose, but it might have been the day before it came out. But we were playing Destiny with Marcus and all them. I know Marcus specifically because he was laughing at me. But I would we'd just be in the middle of a game, and I would just start whispering the original Spider-Man theme song, Spider-Man, but saying Spooderman and just whispering it. So I'd be Spooderman?
No, I definitely
Spooderman.
heard that when I was playing Crucible with you, and you when you knew you were about to leave to go play Spider-Man, you just start whispering it it was this build-up to your anticipation for launching the game. So, yeah, I was there for that.
It's that good. It's getting, perfect scores everywhere. It's...
I mean, the glitches from it are pretty good too that I've been seeing on the internet. I haven't really seen any.
Did you see the failed Easter egg? Because that is heartbreaking.
Yeah, the marriage proposal.
The boat.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Rip.
That was really funny. Triton, how's your week been?
It's been a pretty good week overall. I mean, I've mostly done Destiny. I haven't dived into Spider-Man yet. So I did go out and I got the PS4 Pro. Unfortunately, I'm really upset by this. I think I got a bad PlayStation from that batch. So I think last week I told you guys that the controller wouldn't allow for like a plugged-in wired controller because it created a lot of static. Well, like today, for the very first time in my PlayStation 4 history, I had to boot up that thing in safe mode in order to install like the 6.0 update because it was just like crashing left and right. And finally did that. So I'm really, really hoping that it's not, messed up in some way because they can't replace it. I've been told by like GameStop, I've been told by almost Sony at this point, like we have a limited number. That's it. So if I have to return it, I'm gonna get a regular PlayStation instead, which is like,
they wouldn't just fix
the whole purpose. Well, I guess they could like fix some of the component pieces, but that's not going to be like warranty covered for. Well, I mean, I had the warranty through GameStop. I would guess I'd have to continue with Sony, but I've had them fix one thing before, and it took quite a bit of time. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like if I really want it that bad, and I do have other PlayStations because my kids play too, like I could just send it in. But it is upsetting to know that is potentially the case. But with that said, I am looking forward to playing Spider-Man. But for the most part, right now, I've been playing a ton of Destiny. I just got the Titan through the story and a couple of the daily activities right before reset. The Hunter has been through everything, I think, at this point, minus... I haven't done the Ascendant Challenge yet. I think that's like some of the Dreaming City stuff I haven't done yet. But I'm pretty much like kind of stuck at 520. I keep getting power as my only powerful engrams, power weapons, and no armor. So that's kind of been...
Just getting...
a fair amount of edge transits. I think I was actually playing with Hove and Wilson and some of our other clanmates and Sam the other day, and I think in that span, my powerful engram dropped as Outrageous Fortune. Is that it? The green or the blue and orange grenade launcher. It's new, and then immediately the prime engram I got dropped at edge transit. So I mean, like within 2 matches, I got both of those. But for the most part, still enjoying everything going on, and excited to kind of talk about what we are doing tonight.
Can I just tell you I'm very disappointed in you, Triton, real quick?
Okay, well, that's not new, but yeah.
You missed a golden opportunity to say something cool when you were talking about Spider-Man, because you said that you haven't gotten the chance to dive into Spider-Man yet.
Okay, could I say, like, swing into Spider-Man or something?
Thank you!
Well, I mean, I could have done that.
Also, on a Destiny track, I got a cool emote last night.
Oh, did you get the...
Comforting Friend?
No.
All Alone?
No.
Oh, that one's pretty great.
Nope.
I jumped into Rally's game the other day. Like, he didn't invite me. I just like saw him doing one of the bounties that like the most difficult one, and I was like, he probably needs help. And I jumped into his fire team.
He was probably pissed. He hates that.
No. It was one of the. I wouldn't have done it if it was any other activity, but I knew it was Rally, and it was like, he probably could use help on that particular thing. And I jumped in there, and he saw me and immediately turned around and did the lonely swing in the rain thing, and it was just
you're on Rally's short list. He won't defriend you. I've seen him defriend people for just jumping into his party.
Oh, game. I bet. I believe it. Yeah.
But do you want to know what my emote was?
Is it the Bungie dev one?
What's that?
The guy, gosh, I'm gonna forget his name right now, but the guy who did the hammer thing and all the sound effects, and they made an emote off of him.
No.
Dude, that one is so great. Just before you give away yours real quick, if you haven't gone to Bungie's Twitter and seen like the making of that emote, and it's him and then the guy who does all the sensory video work. I can't remember what it's called right now. I'm blanking. But they're like facing each other, and he's like, and then we do this, and they're like making all the sound effects and stuff. And he like does the hammer one and the little electrocuting one and a bow. And the guy who's doing the video for it is trying to mimic him, and it's amazing. You have to go watch it. What was yours, Hove?
The sad trombone.
Oh, I've seen that one.
And it actually has. I was in the tower with you when I got it, and I told you to come look at it, and you ignored me. It actually has the sound effect. So you like get out a trombone and it goes. Wah,
are you serious?
Wah, wah.
That's so good.
That's sweet.
That's awesome. Dude, they're getting really creative with those, and I'm not mad about it anymore. Like, I'm not like, all the best content is in Eververse. Like, it's like you get so many engrams.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like I'm upset about anything, and it's real easy to get shaders that you want now, too, from there. I'm sure you have Bright Dust, like, saved up. So, I am upset, though, about something that Triton was talking about with only getting grenade launchers in the power slot. I won't go on that tangent right now. We'll save it for later. Talking about no, I'm just going to talk about it right now real quick before we jump into the story. Okay. So I was thinking about how grenade launchers, like we keep getting them. The reason we keep getting them dropped in the power slot is because there are, like, other than legendary rockets, there's no legendary snipers, shotguns, fusion rifles that go in the power slot, in the heavy slot. Like, it's just exotic. You can get an exotic, sniper, an exotic shotgun in the heavy slot.
Is it just one of each?
Slot. There's three snipers, exotic snipers. Borealis, Whisper, and
Borealis is in the heavy slot.
Darcy's in the heavy slot.
Oh, maybe Borealis isn't.
I was going to say Darcy is. I don't think
it's Darcy and Whisper. But I'm just saying, like, wouldn't it be great if we had some power, like, some heavy versions of a shotgun or legendary sniper that you could use to take down supers and stuff, rather than just relying on. Why are you shaking your head no?
Because you're asking a question. It's a yes or no answer, and my answer is no.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so because right now our options are so limited on drops, it feels like we're just getting grenade launchers all the time in the power slot or heavy slot, and I just feel like it's not as fun using grenade launchers and rocket launchers in PvP. Unless you want to use an exotic, your options are just so limited there. It would be nice to see some sort of like heavy power sniper, since snipers right now can't even headshot, a super, where they would be able to if they were in the power slot. It wouldn't feel overwhelming. I don't know. That's just my thoughts right now.
I get what you're saying. I'm just shaking my head because I have my absolute, I think maybe favorite of all time PvP loadout, and it includes a sniper in the heavy slot right now.
Is it Darcy?
Yes. The Go Figure pulse rifle, a fusion, and Darcy. I'm having a lot of fun with.
Yeah, I've seen some people wreck with pulse rifles in Crucible lately.
Well, I got that Go Figure Hake four round burst, which generally I don't like.
Yeah.
But I got it with under pressure, so as the mag gets lower, accuracy and something else go up. Head Seeker, which again with a 4-round burst is nice.
Yeah.
And the masterwork on it is stability.
Nice.
And it has whatever the barrel gives a whole bunch of stability too. So like it's for a 4-round burst, it's fairly stable with Head Seeker, and it's really good.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, we can talk about gun stuff more later. I did want to just start off with the story because last time we took too much time and didn't even get to it. There's just so much to talk about, but I want to get to it straight away here. So we haven't talked really about anything that's happened with the story other than just our general impressions of everything last week. But let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's dive into all the barons and everything that happened. So if you haven't played the story, sorry, the rest of this is probably going to be pretty spoiler because we're talking about the raid and stuff later. Not that we know anything, but
I like how it kind of starts off big. How like the very first thing you do is fight Wilson Fisk, and you put him in jail, and then the whole story goes from there.
All right, I didn't play that part of the story.
Oh, that not Spider-Man?
No.
Oh.
Sorry, Hove. Triton, what did you think about the Destiny 2 Forsaken storyline that we got this time?
What I really enjoyed, and I kind of fleshed this out a little bit on Twitter in terms of kind of one of these relationships that I can talk about probably for a lot longer, but I don't want to digress into that. But what I found to be the most refreshing part of the Forsaken story is it's the first time in Destiny's narrative history that they really went with right versus wrong as opposed to good versus evil. And I think it's the execution of that really made the story really enjoyable for me. I mean, they really made manifest these philosophical dichotomies in the forms of relationships, both first person and third person. And I think that really allowed Bungie to kind of drive home this narrative. And we could start with, that first cutscene after, Cayde dies and you see Ikora and you see Zavala. And this is the first time you're seeing both of them together. It's been a year. They obviously kind of went face to face with the frailty that was being a guardian without light. And they each came out of it on a different side of that. And they're in different interpretations of how to use the light. and how to protect the light. And you can kind of see that right away, and you're kind of thrust into the middle of that. And for the most part, you always assume these people to be on the same side. And I think they keep nailing home, what's right, what's wrong. Is it, should you stay in with Zavala? Should you, and obviously you have to go and you do the track of revenge, so to speak, with Ikora, but you see it all along in the story, whether it's, the fanatic saying, hey, I don't mind you being around because everybody you kill adds to my army. Or when the Mad Bomber pretty much says, you're a murderer, and the Ghost is, even Ghost is like, we're not a murderer, we're doing this for Cayde. So he doesn't really kind of even absolve you from that title, that the fact is, to a whole other race, well, you are a murderer. You're not really this hero that you are there. And we haven't really had that narrative thrust upon us in any other time in Destiny's history. And even if you as the player step back and say, hey, why are we doing this? Why do we have this purpose? It's never really been fleshed out in the game, and I think that's the first time you see that. And obviously there's a lot of symbolism with the light and dark needing to open the portal together. And even Uldren, one of his last words is, there's such a thin line between good and bad. So, he even tells you that right in the face. And I think that's a narrative that, even though it's something that we see all the time, it's something that, is not uncommon in most of the movies that we watch today. If it's executed well, I think it elicits a kind of response in people, because it's a choice. What is right is wrong. It's as opposed to we're good and they're evil. And I think that's what allows for an enjoyable story. And the fact that Bungie was able to take all the content they have in the game and mold the story around it is really why I think a lot of people have continued to, praise Destiny into week 2. And honestly, that's not really been the case with all the other DLCs that we've gotten, or even Destiny 2. Where we're still kind of praising it, 2 weeks after its release. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel a lot of the same things that you felt about the story, especially between like the light and the dark, and that struggle and the revenge streak, and the interaction between Zavala and Ikora. The more I see that cutscene, and the more I think about it, the more, because now it's popping up all the time on Twitter. It's like the one advertisement that they do. It starts out with Ikora saying, "Every Titan, every Warlock, we'll send them all," and so you see that a lot, and I'm like, man, it does make you think, like, what would I do, if I were in that scenario? And, would you go get revenge or take back because these people are dangerous too. It's not like it is revenge, but you also have the protection of the city and what's like the logical thing to do, what's the right thing to do, especially after, like, I love how things from previous episodes basically of Destiny are coming to fruition here, where because the tower fell, Zavala is making these actions, and it just it actually reminds me a lot of, like, not on the scale of, but Infinity War, like the way that movie plays out. A lot of those characters make decisions based off their individual movies that they've had, and I feel like Destiny's story is kind of unfolding like a series of movies where, like, whenever you think about actions that characters have done before, they're playing out now in a whole new way because of decisions that they made in the past or things that have happened to them. And that's pretty awesome to see in this universe. And even towards the end, I think that was some of the big stuff for me, was some of the surprises at the end. Like, the whole time I'm like, what the heck is going on with Uldren? Like, I have no idea. And I'm like, I think it's like, some people have been talking about just so many different things. Like, there were just so many different theories running through my head, and whenever the final boss did come out, I was like, I literally have no idea what's happening right now. And it was a great encounter to me. I know a lot of people, or some people were kind of like, what is this? I have no idea what this is. I think that sort of mindset of running into that boss encounter was like kind of good, because it looked so terrifying, and to not really know what you were fighting either was really terrifying. So that was really cool to me.
I still don't know what it was.
I still don't really know. I haven't dug into the lore enough to really know. I know that in the Dreaming City, a lot of stuff is playing out and has, I think, Riven, like we have Riven armor or something like that, that we're getting, and just... and some of the mods, there's like a Riven mod that you get with that armor, that gives you more damage, but you take more damage. Really weird stuff.
Yeah, which just it seemed odd to me. I don't.
And there's more stuff that's weird too with it. And that's what gets me excited, is that there's so much like lore stuff from D1 that we're seeing tidbits of, or big stuff of, in this DLC. And one of those things is the whole time the queen, imaginary queen, is talking to Uldren, she says lines that are like, "Oh, brother mine," and I'm like, that's Ahamkara like kind of lines, right? You know? And then when it's not the Ahamkara, I was like, what? I thought for sure that's where we were heading, you know? But then in the Dreaming City, which I just found this out today, I didn't know, because I've been playing a lot of PvP and haven't done a lot of Dreaming City stuff. There's a spot that you can go to where you're teleporting around to different areas, and eventually you get to a cave that has 2 Ahamkara looking skulls. I mean, if that people are saying online anyway that they're Ahamkara skulls, and they have their names, so maybe they are in the lore somewhere, but you trade materials to these skulls that give you the stuff that lets you go into the Ascendant realm in the Dreaming City. So you can find that stuff like in the wild, or you can trade it to these skulls and get it for just the material that you get in the Dreaming City. So I saw it. I don't even know what's going on lore wise, but I know there's a little bit of Ahamkara. No, there's a little bit of Taken stuff. There's a lot of Ascendant being light and dark is like a theme throughout this story, not only in story stuff, but like practicality. You're going between, you know, that last mission into the Ascendant realm, and you do that a lot in the Dreaming City too. And it's really cool to see stuff like you're playing this story. You're not just like watching it. I don't know. There was something really cool to that throughout it.
That gives life to what they're trying to push, and I think you have to be able to do that in a short amount of time, given the story missions, and given that Destiny's more than just a campaign, right? Most players are playing the campaign to get to other things, so if you want to drive home that message, if you want to have that theme resound throughout everything you're doing, you have to put it in, you know, other ways. And I think, Hove, actually, I think I may have done that last mission, or one of those last missions to get into Dreaming City with you and Dewey, and I think we both, at going in and out of that Ascendant plane, was like, oh man, this is really cool, this is really trippy, just all those kind of things, because it's light and dark, and you're literally going through light and dark, so it's kind of hard to miss their message, and I think in that way it's what makes, I think, the narrative so good.
That whole like mission, that whole time was super like trippy, because there's like that dude talking to you and telling you like pretty much don't trust her and stuff. Doesn't he say something like that? Like,
yeah, that was Toland, actually. It's Toland that's like...
it says it, and the little... You can see it at the top of your screen. It names whoever's talking.
Like, this is a trap. Like, you know, this isn't meant to be. Like, you were unleashing a trap. Like, you're the problem here. Kind of thing.
I didn't
realize it turns out to be Toland.
Oh, well, I'm stupid. So, as far as the story goes, I think my favorite thing about it is... For me, anyway, it was the first campaign, DLC, whatever, that really had a really... Assuming the raid turns out and has, like, a cool ending story, like, kind of to cap this all off, which I'm thinking it does. It's the first time that I really felt a good through line through the entire campaign into the last mission and then into the raid.
Yeah, it really did.
Because you look at, like, the Taken King... The last mission of the story is you fight Oryx, and then the raid is just, oh hey, Oryx took himself and he's bigger now, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, I didn't have a problem with it, but I mean, really, let's be honest, it was kind of like a cheap way to get to what the raid was, right? They probably already had the raid planned out, and they were like, oh, you'll just fight Oryx, and he's like 10 feet tall, and then you'll fight him, and he's like 1,000 feet tall. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then kind of the flip side of that, with Destiny 2 Vanilla, you guys know that drove me nuts. That, like, you kind of just saw the ship in the air through the whole story, and then you kill Gaul, which is the entire story, and you're like, oh, hey, guys, there's a ship up there. Let's, we should go check it out.
Oh,
and then
for
you
the
like,
raid, yeah.
So it was like this disconnect to me. Whereas this time, like, the end of the story doesn't really give you any closure, right? You're still kind of like, what the hell? So you were gonna, right. I'm gonna assume that is all, you know, finished off in the raid, which I thought was really cool. I you know, like I said, it's the first time that really had a good through line the entire way.
Do you know what? This is also one of the first time since the Taken King that I'm really digging into lore stuff. Like, and it's more accessible now too, so that probably has a part to do with it. But now that we have collections and we have a lore tab in there, and it's a part of like a Grimoire-ish score that's just called your Triumph score, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like reason to go in there and check it off. You know, there's nothing but a number right now, but still, it's something.
Age is
you know?
nothing but a number, Lego.
And you get in there, and it's easy to read in game, or it's on your Bungie companion app too, and it's set up just the same way where you just go in and you can look at the lore. And so I've actually been like, I'll step away from the game, and as I'm like heading to bed, I'm like clicking on the lore, and I'm like, oh, that's that lore thing that I got. Okay, oh, that's and there's like entries about
so I can read that while I'm in bed?
Dude, yeah, there's that. There's
Neat.
There's stuff about, Cayde. There's stuff about, the whole Dreaming City, all the Barons. It's just so much stuff about. There's a whole storyline of Uldren, like way before any of this happens. That's pretty interesting. So it's got me like hooked reading all that stuff, which I haven't felt that way since the Book of Sorrows, which really intrigued me. And this feels similar to that. So I'm really digging this story, and we didn't even really talk about the Barons much. I guess Triton mentioned
I was trying to
one or two of them, but I really loved some of the Barons. Hove, what were some of the ones that you liked?
Real quick, not off topic, but how do you guys like the notifications through the companion app now? Have you been getting the push notifications that'll say?
Oh, I didn't activate them.
Yeah,
no, I don't have mine activated.
Wait, I got one for something. I can't remember what it was. What did you get? What have your notifications?
I don't remember. There was one that I was. A lot of them are like Destiny Forsaken releases today, or like stuff like that.
Okay,
But one of them, I can't remember for the life of me what
one
it was.
of them was really good.
But I was that's really cool. I'm glad that they did that, and I don't remember what it was.
Exactly.
But
yeah. Do you know what I need? I need one for the reset
more cowbell
stuff now. No. Yes, I need that too. But I gotta make those records. But I also need a alarm for like when the resets happen now, because I'm really confused. Like,
it is a little confusing. Because
before it was so easy, everything's one day, and I want to say I like the multi like reset kind of system, because for the past. Since Forsaken released, I always feel like I have something to go do and multiple things to go do, which is so great. I love that so much. But I'm confused as to like when I need to look forward to doing stuff again. I'm not, especially because it glitched out and things were saying they were available when they weren't this past weekend.
Yeah,
and
I was
that
gonna
just
say,
really threw us off.
I think the kind of reset schedule will be a little easier when it's not wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when it's right, it'll just be Tuesdays are this, and then this other day is this, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you're right.
Sorry for getting off of that, but as far as the Barons, that was the next thing I was gonna bring up. I really liked them. I thought that they did a good job.
Dude,
they weren't super hard. You could kind of, if you went in with two people, they were pretty easy, and you really didn't get the full experience of like it being a fight. It was just kind of another thing. But the first time I went through it, I was just going through and getting to missions as I could do them, like light level wise.
Yeah.
And so I was always like 5 or 10 under, and I would just say, fuck it. Like, I'll go in. And doing them solo right around the light or just under, they were really, really, like some of the best missions, I think, in Destiny's history so far. Just because all of them felt so different. There wasn't anything like drastically new to Destiny, but each one felt like a different character, a different fight. And granted, all the Barons were kind of, stereotypical like villain tropes, like, oh, this guy is crazy and he talks funny, he's the mad bomber. Like,
well, they weren't just like a typical boss kind of characters. I think they were typical, like almost Western style characters. Like it was
that's
a crew.
The whole theme.
Exactly. I thought it was fitting,
because they said something about the Magnificent Seven when they first were announcing it.
Yeah, no, totally. I totally agree, and I agree with you on the variety of them. That was one of my favorite things going through there. I might have mentioned that last podcast just briefly, but just especially using all the different weapons was already forcing a kind of variety on you because you're picking up all this blue gear and using it because infusion is insane. And then after, on top of that, all the fights were different. Especially, I did all of them solo. And even though I was at the light level, they all felt entirely different. And so that was really fun. I definitely have a few standouts, but there really isn't one that I was just like, this one I didn't really care for. Really, all of them had something that I really liked. I mean, standouts for me would be the Mindbender, because that was just the lore behind it too, and the ghost tells you it as you're playing the mission, that the reason the Mindbender is like obsessed with the hive and it wants its own I think it's a she wants her own ascendant.
A lot of them were female.
I'm pretty sure it is a she. Wanted her own ascendant realm and couldn't, like, maybe had like a really small one or didn't have one yet, but then killed Cayde. And when they killed Cayde, it was like a powerful enough enemy that she could create her own throne world. And the ghost makes a comment when you go into it initially. It's like, how did she get one so big? And
then he says,
she killed.
Yeah.
Okay, And so I thought that was pretty awesome. And it was really dark. Like, not just dark visually, but dark, like, wow, this is because of Cayde, and reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing. And so I thought that was one of my favorite missions for that reason. But I really liked the Rider. I thought that was pretty awesome. There's something about all of them that I liked. The Trickster was awesome. The Mad Bomber, I thought, had some cool... I get confused between these two, though. The Mad Bomber and the Machinist. Because I really like the Machinist, and that reminds me of the Bomber in some ways, because the Machinist is the one that shoots all the missiles out, and like they track you and fall down, and it keeps you moving around the map constantly. And so I felt like there weren't any that I was just like, okay, stand here and shoot this. You know, each of them had some sort of mechanic that kept you moving and brought a lot of variety to the gameplay, I thought.
The only thing I think was a kind of a missed opportunity, I just actually realized this now, so I can't even call this a complaint. But the sniper one, what was his name?
The Rifleman.
The Rifleman.
Yeah.
Rifleman.
I feel like if he's this great sniper, and they even said something during it that he's the only one that could hit the shot that killed Cayde's ghost.
Yeah.
Which I did like, even if it's cheesy and not believable, at least they addressed the fact, because everyone was saying, why didn't anybody else ever shoot a ghost? Why is this a thing? Like, they mentioned twice in there. Once the Cayde's ghost was just like him, like wild,
cocky, arrogant, but completely competent. Yeah, that was at the end of that one.
And that only he could hit that shot. So he's this great sniper, doesn't miss, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not that this is a revolutionary like mechanic or anything, but wouldn't it have been cool if like one of his attacks was something where there was some indicator that he was going to shoot, and you knew you had like just a little bit of time to like get in cover, because no matter where you were, if you were in his line of sight, he hit you. Didn't have to be a one-shot kill, but something where if you let him get this shot off, he was going to hit you no matter what, because he's the best sniper.
Yeah, because that would tie into everything. Yeah, that would be cool, because his mechanic was kind of more like the Trickster kind of mechanic.
Yeah, he had all those illusions and stuff.
It had nothing to do with like shooting anything.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of a missed opportunity to make the lore behind him a little bit more relevant.
As something that just I want to hear what Triton's favorite is, but just real quick, one of the things that you just brought up that I thought was really interesting is we all just knew that line you were talking about immediately, and I remembered some earlier about the ghost and lines that the ghost said, and it just reminds me like, man, how good is the dialogue and storytelling in this that we remember lines from it after just one playthrough, that they're so significant to us. I don't know, I think that's really telling. I think that's really cool.
The guy who plays Peter Parker does a really good job as Spider-Man too.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
But no, on Destiny, Matt Grundy just said in chat, which I think is awesome. He said he wants a grenade launcher that shoots fake exotic engrams, and I also want one of those.
Yes,
yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
That should be the next Crucible Labs, throwing exotic engrams at each other.
That would be cool.
Triton, what did you think about the variants?
Well, I think we touched on it a lot. Thematically, they're all different, and so I think that makes everything distinct. I thought that scene after I think it's the second mission. So it's like the Scorn mission where you go down and you know where their base is. Spider tells you, and you think you're gonna take them all out, and instead there's that cutscene where like each of the cards, and they just do that quick intro, and I think that's just enough to be like, and it's. Hove mentioned the Magnificent Seven. It's just easy to be like, well, you're the rifleman, you're the trickster. I mean, you can identify with those things really quickly, and then when that's backed up by the missions that are distinct, and maybe there's some things that could be made them a little bit more engaging or a little bit more true to kind of what you might expect would have been cool. But I really like the design there. I think again it comes back to my point where that they were able to kind of package this narrative that we enjoy around what was available for them to do. Because Hove's right, not everything is really different. And kind of once I was told a saying about technology, technology doesn't change, but the way that we use it does. And then this is an instance where I feel like, the mechanics that exist in the game, we still use them, but the way they chose to implement those, the way that we engage the enemies and all those types of things were a little bit different because of the environment or the person that we're going up against or the enemy they designed or the, things of that nature. And I really enjoyed that, and I think they did mix in some other lore when you fight the rider. You mentioned the rider. I think one of the first thing Ghost tells you is that like Cayde beat her in a race, and that's why she really wanted to kind of go after him. And I haven't played all of those enough, and kind of the first time I was playing them, I was playing. You're always playing with people. You're just trying to get through it. You're trying to figure out everything going on. I didn't really take the time to listen to all the dialogue. But having gone back through, helped a friend, and then kind of helped my son get through some of those, I took the time to listen to some of those adages, and that's kind of where I pulled out the fact, that murderer thing from the Mad Bomber, and kind of that quick dialogue that you have, and Ghost just kind of being like, "Hey, you're not really a murderer, right? We're doing this for Cayde." And I think, and that one became one of my favorites for that reason. But I think the most, the Mindbender was probably my favorite. I thought just kind of doing that whole hive thing was the most distinct of all the missions, and so I think I probably enjoyed that one the most.
Dude, go ahead, Ho.
I was just gonna say it's funny because my original, the first thing I said and the first thing I thought when I played them was I thought it was really cool how they all kind of fed into their kind of backstory and lore, the missions. But now I have a second one that, again, not really a complaint, but my biggest complaint in so many words is that they didn't do it enough. Like, another missed opportunity. If you're going to bring up the fact that, Cayde beat her by beating her in a race, like, that's how he had to bring her down. Like, there could have been something. I know we had to chase her a little bit, but it wasn't, like, very hard. If she got away...
just adding more
if she got away, you just, like, caught her in the next room. If there was even, like, an easy enough mechanic that if she got too far away from you, you just lost the mission. Like, oh, she got away, you have to restart.
Or like a quick SRL type of event where you had to like actually beat her in a race. Things like that. I mean, I know that's more full blown, but I think Hove's right. Having that was available in the game. When he was mentioning the rifleman, I thought like, well, maybe what if you only had to? What if because he's such a good sniper, obviously, and when he shoots the ghost, he's hanging up in his homemade sniper perch. You had to defeat him using a sniper rifle available there, or something like that. So you had to use a sniper to beat a sniper. Yeah. Things like that would have been neat.
Yeah, and like think about the with the rider. She was kind of attack. You had taken one of her pikes, right? That's what you were riding. So she was kind of like shooting fire at you and stuff. Tell me, wouldn't it be cool if the whole mission there was nothing like you were on, running around on foot, but it was like road rash style or something. Like the only way to beat her was like to run her into something, or like along the way there were like canisters that if you hit it, it would fall over and blow up and hurt her, and then like so you had to like beat her that way. That would make it a much less traditional mission, a little bit more geared towards her lore, her backstory. Like, that would, and I'm sure that would have taken a lot more because you're talking about adding new stuff into the game.
Yeah,
like I said, it's not even a complaint, but wouldn't that have been really awesome? Like each one was just something completely different.
Speaking of different and like things that stand out, there's some story stuff in here that I've been waiting for so long that they did so well, I thought. And one of those is the new Spider just in general. Him and Petra, both I love, and I'll get to them in a second. But as far as like actual gameplay stuff, Spider's henchmen that he sends with you, the little spiky guys, spiky boys that come with you. I just love those guys. And just when he was like, oh yeah, these guys are going to join you, and they just come alongside you and start fighting next to you. And I just have been waiting for that for so long, for people to be fighting with us and it not just be us alone. And there were quite a few of them throughout the various missions. And I thought that was awesome when there was a moment where you freed a servitor and it fought with you for a little bit. And then at the end, the very last mission, when you're going to fight, not the machinist, but the
Fanatic.
The fanatic. Yeah, when you're storming the tower, there's like ships coming down, the queen ships, and they're bombing areas next to you. There's a spider tank that's like shooting people behind you to help take people out. And just the epicness of that moment of rushing to the tower, it didn't feel like anything was lacking. So many times in Destiny, especially coming from the company that made Halo, that has the famous like, beach marine scene where all the Marines go in with you in Halo. It's like I've been waiting for a moment like that where it feels like I'm not just completely alone. I know we have that with the raid, a couple of people, but I want some NPCs to be with me, and you actually the world felt alive, is basically what I'm saying. Like, it didn't feel like I was in this area by myself, but there were factions of neither light nor dark, but just fighting against each other for control of this planet. And there just was so much character. It made the characters feel fleshed out in the story. Even when one of the little spider, one of his henchmen died, the spiky guys, the ghost is like, I'm sorry, we lost one of your men or something. And Spider's like, that's the price of war, or something,
It's like cost of doing business, I think.
Cost of doing business. Yeah. Dude, what a great character too. Like, I love Spider. So he might be
I love Spider-Man
my favorite.
too.
I'm
only
serious.
a matter of time for that one.
The Spider character is probably, I think he might be one of my favorite characters ever. It's tough to go him over Varix, but I really like
stupid.
Varix. He's just interesting. I feel like Spider is my favorite. He reminds me a little bit of like a slightly maybe better version. Maybe not. I don't know. He has that obsession with ghosts where he's like taking them apart and he wants everyone's ghosts, which is pretty awesome. But
it's kind of morbid on its.
It's kind of no. He has so much character to him. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he has his own personality and weird quirks about him, kind of dark stuff. He reminds me a little bit of. What's the character from the new Star Wars movie that's just in there for a little bit for The Last Jedi, who's like, he's like not good or bad, but
DJ?
He does do what?
The guy that basically turns them in.
Yes,
Benicio del Toro, him.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro. That's who I was looking for. Yeah, like his character, he's like, yeah, I'm not the good guys, the bad guys.
I was gonna say, I think anytime you can, if it's well done and well written, that any character that is powerful, whether it's physically powerful or whatever, powerful enough to be influential, but is only out for themselves and doesn't care who's good, who's bad, who's right, who's wrong, is just kind of like, oh, that guy made me mad, so I'm going to help the guy who's trying to hurt him. Like, anytime you do a character like that well, I think they're always pretty interesting, right?
Yeah. Totally, yeah. Dude, I love it. Also, Petra... I totally didn't care about Petra in D1. Like,
she was such a bit part.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like just like they made you do a little more with her, like in D1 at one point, and I was kind of like, well, whatever, And then in D2 and Forsaken, I'm like, I actually care about Petra. Like, I actually like feel like we have a bond because of this story that we went through, together, and you have interactions with her afterwards in the Dreaming City, and you feel like you're like not like taking Cayde's, like you feel like the more you play and hear her talk about Cayde, and that her and Cayde had this like kind of fighting, like they both enjoyed fighting kind of relationship, and then it's kind of like you kind of took that place with her, almost not replaced Cayde, but you became one of that kind of partner with her. And I don't know, I feel like there's like I can't harp enough on how much character I feel like this Forsaken story has, as opposed to any other story we've gotten in Destiny before. Like, I feel like there's characters that are alive and this world is more alive because of it.
And I think what impresses me about that is, you don't always need to have, duplicitous characters or ulterior motives or plot twists to accomplish that. I think when you have somebody who is maybe, I don't want to say obstinate, but maybe just kind of has a resolve to them, and then you set that opposite of something that is, is different, and then you kind of blur those lines. I think that's how you really give life to that. People's reactions to situations, or just the way they handle certain things, and obviously through tragedy, I think that's really kind of shows more of those characters in a very quick manner. And again, we can't play a 40-hour campaign for Destiny. That's just not going to happen. I mean, maybe it took you a while to get through all of those, but it's not a game designed to have, the 40, 50, maybe 60-hour campaigns that a game like, I don't know how long it took maybe to beat Spider-Man, but, it seems like God of War had a lot of that. The Witcher's really long. The Last of Us, Horizon, all those games that have and built around long campaigns, Destiny's not going to do that. But to have the kind of feelings that you have for the characters based on what they were able to deliver, I think is pretty impressive. And actually, thinking back to last week when we talked about our favorite scenes, Petra's probably in my favorite scene. I know the puddle scene was amazing when you kind of watched Uldren enter that puddle, but having just got my Warlock through, I think, half the campaign now, the scene in the first story mission where Cayde's, at that point dead, you're standing over him and it pans out and Petra runs in and the only really light comes from the hole that Cayde gets blasted through. I just think kind of her gait and the way that she enters that, he's gonna be alive, and then kind of that kind of sinking right before, and I think she even exhales or something like that, and then the scene ends. That actually ended up being probably my favorite scene to have seen multiple times now. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was really well done in terms of kind of that thematic scene that I think was our favorite. So I agree with you. I think she's been a character that you actually kind of want to see more of, hopefully, and obviously we're going to get that with the raid coming out and more to come.
Yeah. What did I want to talk to you about the very end of the campaign for a second. What do y'all think happened? Because it cuts to black, and you hear a shot go off, and then it's so funny the way that it plays out. Like, I feel like it's slightly unsatisfying in a way, but it's almost like they cut black to let you make up your own mind about what you would have done, because they don't have really the ability to do that in Destiny, to do multiple storylines. But they kind of let you, it's almost like because at first I was kind of upset about it. I was like, man, I want to know what happened. And then the more I think about it, the more it becomes like a grimoire entry, where it's like the legend of our guardian, and everybody says this is the lore that, this guardian shot Uldren or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, well, that's just the legend of it. We become legend almost in a way by killing Uldren.
I see what you did there.
But also, it's also like, in my own head, I'm like, okay, what did happen though? And when I listened to the shot, it sounded almost like the Vestian Dynasty gun, but it also kind of sounded like the Ace of Spades. It sounded like both at the same time almost. And I wonder if they might have done that to let you interpret what you wanted to hear. I don't know. That's just what it sounded like. And even when you go to talk to the NPCs, some of them are like I think it was Amanda Holiday. When you talk to her, she's like, "You tell me, did you do it? Was it really you?" And then she's like, "No, never mind. I don't want to know." And it's like mystery. And then whenever you talk to, is it Petra, and she gives you the gun, and then the subtext says something like, the gun that did something. Am I wrong about that? I can't remember.
That part I don't know. But going back to the Amanda Holiday thing, you could also look at that as almost tying in more with kind of the whole, is what we're doing right or wrong type of thing. Like, are we murderers? Because she's like, did you do it? And then she's like, you know what? I don't want to know. I don't want to know if you killed that guy. That would affect the way I think about you, type of thing, as opposed to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, here's a question for you, because Matt Grundy said in chat, he didn't die on screen. He's not actually really confirmed dead.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, I know. And it makes me wonder, is something else gonna happen? Because that is the third option, because there's the option of did you kill her? Did Petra kill him? And then it was well, maybe no one killed him. We don't really know.
Because I would say, and it doesn't mean they have to follow this way of doing things, but most stories that you see where there's the good guys hunting a character who was maybe not a good guy, but not really a villain. You know, something happens, they're taken over, they're mind controlled, whatever it may be, and they do something really, really bad. And then you find out at the end, like, it wasn't really them. Generally, there's that fight, like, someone still wants to kill him, but generally, like, hey, you know what, he didn't really do it. Like, it wasn't his decision type of thing, and they don't kill him. You know, like, maybe that was her just shooting the ground next to him, and then, you know, who knows? Like...
Yeah. Well, if anybody's having trouble sleeping at night knowing that they shot Uldren and, you know, they're upset about that, if you read the actual lore stuff, so far I haven't read all of it, but it makes him out to be more of just a bad person, or at least a worse of a person than just I got mind controlled. Like, he was kind of...
Yeah, but like, he didn't kill Cayde. Like, of his own volition.
I don't know. Can you really say that? Well, I guess, yeah, because she said something about, like, him being controlled already. Yeah, I guess you could make that case. Triton, what were you going to say? Sorry.
Well, I think the conversation we're having supports that. I think that's what Bungie was trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So when you introduce right and wrong, it becomes a question more of, you know, interpretation of, you know, morality than it does anything else, when it's just simply like, oh, we need to get our light back, so we're going to kill Gaul, and that's just how this has to be. So, you know, I think keeping it open-ended like that, it leaves you a little bit wandering, you know, because you can go down so many rabbit holes there. I mean, when you're talking about, you know, was he mind-controlled when that happens? But what if we've come to learn that maybe the effects of the Riven just only amplify the person that you are, right? Because we've seen that in narrative sometimes, too. So maybe it just has you kind of give in more to your inhibitions, and so your proclivity is, I'm kind of a bad person, and this is kind of always what I wanted to do, I just need that final push, right? That could be the case, and we've seen that before, too, or it could not be. He could just be completely mind controlled.
If that is the case, I mean, that's still not him. Like, it's but
that's an interpretation of what is him, though. Like, you know, is that if you don't act upon that as not who you are, and again, that, you know, that pushes against some people's beliefs of, you know, thought and, you know, and intent and action too. And I think that's a good job to have conversations where that can be a topic, is, like I said, as opposed to a very obvious, we're killing the darkness, orcs is bad. You know,
I mean, there's lots of times where I've thought that I want to punch you in the face, but I don't actually do it.
Right. I mean, but, you know, to not have necessarily a conversation of belief here is like, I'm not really.
I believe I want to punch you in the face.
I do agree that I'm just glad that it makes us. I'm just glad that it makes us think about all these things. That it
right.
Like,
and I think
said,
that's
Triton.
the point of leaving it open ended.
Yeah, that is great. Because at first it brought dissatisfaction to me having it open-ended, and now it's bringing me more and more satisfaction the more I think about it, which a lot of movies do that to me too. So, and I think I'm liking this the more that I sit with it. So after the story opens up the Dreaming City, which is pretty incredible. Like, so huge. I can't get over how massive this space is, and I haven't spent as much time there as I'd like to really like map it out in my head. So it just feels like overwhelming almost. It's so big, and there's not any direction. You get in there, and after you talk to Petra for the first time, which, you know, another huge spoiler, is you find out that the queen's alive in some shape or form, talking to her through this giant antenna thing.
She probably has some kind of realm too. She's powerful. She has something going on.
I know, that's what it seems like. And so that's going on, and she tells you, like, hey, you got to go kill this thing in the heart of this place. And then you're kind of like set loose on the Dreaming City. Or she doesn't say that maybe there. Maybe that's in the trailer that Bungie released. But
no, she says it there. She says open the gates.
Does, okay.
She led that conversation. There's two things I thought were really interesting about the first conversation when you get the offering for the Oracle.
Yeah.
One, there's this very clear, like, that they're showing this blending of, like, the way Petra thinks of the queen, like, as a friend or a queen, because she's like, oh my god, queen, you're, hello, my queen. Like, she's, like, so excited, and then she, like, stops and, like, realizes she's being, like, unprofessional. But then the other thing, it's still, like, this whole thing, like, I still get this feeling that she's had this big plan all along. Like,
the queen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the very get-go of Destiny. Because, yeah, even though she, quote-unquote, like, sacrificed herself to help us, She clearly didn't. Like, she knows what she's doing. She's alive somewhere. Something's going on.
It just makes me think of that line that she gives during the prologue to Oryx, where it's just like, she says a line that's like, you and I both know how this ends, you know, like whenever she's talking about Oryx, and you're like, and I keep thinking about that line as I'm playing through this game.
And you even go to the fact that, haven't we, well, not we, because I don't know enough, but haven't they kind of confirmed that when the last time we saw Eris and she was talking to her queen, that it was Tamara?
There's lore entries if you found them in your lore tab. There's the only one that I have is about the queen and Eris like talking together, and you can go look it up. But it's really interesting, their relationship. It says Eris left the tower because no one needed her. The queen needed her more, basically, and left to go talk to the queen. Yeah,
right. So like that whole thing, and Eris is gone, but she's got to play a part somewhere later, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what makes me think the queen's gonna be bigger later. But then, even though it's a small thing, she says like, "Hello, Petra," and then she says with this like really strange tone, she's like, "I see you brought the Guardian. Like, why is he here?" And then it's kind of like, "Oh, well, he's here. So you know what? Go destroy that thing in there. Like, we're just there to be her. Yeah, like we're just kind of there to be like." To do her bidding, even though we don't know that. Like, she's not telling us, go do this because I'm the queen, but like she's using us.
I don't know. I didn't feel that way because she gives that line that's like, open up the reef or open up the city for all the Guardians. Like, let the Guardians come
but that could
and
be her
get
plan.
the treasures.
Her plan could be to let us in to do our thing. I mean, it got you off. Like, I did kind of get that too. Like, you're the guard. And the other thing too is I don't think you come away with that conversation and know if indeed Uldren is dead and you're the one killed him, that she really is okay with that. Like, she acknowledges that he's dead, but you don't really get a sense that she's like in any way like thankful since he flew off the deep end. And you just really don't know if she's upset towards you in any way or has some certain feelings about you, the fact that like that was you. So there's a lot just kind of left open, and I do think that she is probably in Destiny 1 kind of seen what you can do and just kind of knows how to point you in a direction to accomplish her own goal. I think that very much fits kind of everything we've known about the queen in terms of her trying to accomplish what she wants, and that's could be the reason. I mean, does she want you on the sacred place? Probably not, but if you can destroy this ancient enemy that maybe she doesn't want really care to have to exhaust resources to do, then why not? And
yeah, I don't think, like, I'm not necessarily saying that whatever she has going on is necessarily, you know, nefarious or bad or anything, but to me it's pretty obvious that she's got something. She's not just this altruistic, like, I'm gonna help. Like, there's something in it for her. Like,
yeah, for sure. Also, you bring up a good point, Triton, when you mentioned that Petra told her that Uldren was dead, and she has so much respect for the queen, she's not gonna lie. Like, I'm pretty sure Uldren's dead. If Petra is telling the person that she respects and trusts more than anyone that Uldren's dead, it doesn't seem like she would lie
unless this is all part of the plan,
and Uldren has his own ascendant realm, like, that the queen has prepared for him or something. I don't know.
I'm just saying there's so many things that could be going on, and it also makes me think, like, it's gonna take at least like Destiny 3 or 4 before we get to all the stories I want to know. Like,
yeah, dude, I love the way they're dishing these out, though.
We still have to deal with all really this. Good. There's got to be some big overarching play that Mara has. We still have Savathun. I better fucking learn something about the 9. We still got those pyramid ships. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that needs to go down.
Dude, the pyramid ships. Yeah, I'm wondering about those too.
I think Hope you mentioned a really good point with kind of like,
of course,
in LEGO 2 with where we're at in the story. So I mean, I think we should view where this falls in like their 10-year plan, right? So I think when you go from, you know, you're this big powerful person to, the first stumbling block ever, no light, to now kind of this journey of self-discovery and kind of having these questions: why am I doing it? Who am I doing it for? Those types of things. It fits in really well. So I'm very hopeful that they kind of use that time in what generally is kind of like the narrative curve to use this middle space to really hit those stories that we want to see, because I think the angle they can take through all of those is an inquisitive one, as opposed to kind of like a final one where you've arrived, you're the hero, you've gone through all the trials, and then that last DLC you're just wiping out everything kind of thing. So hopefully, we do get some of these stories, because it's fitting really nicely into a timing of when we would probably be questioning, well, why are we doing this? Not everyone views this as the good guy, and I think that's clearly happening now. And I think that always makes for that's like why number 2 in trilogies is usually the best of movies. Number 2 tends to be the strongest because I think you get to that point in those movies most of the time.
It's the darker one.
They're also, even if they're not necessarily darker, I feel like they're usually the deepest. They explore the most themes. Like the first one's usually here's this side, here's backstory. The last one is kind of, again, this person versus this person, winner, like at the end. Like the result, like the resolution. The middle is kind of where you have to make your opinions and you really tell a story that isn't just we need to start here or we need to get to here. It can go anywhere. Yeah,
absolutely.
So speaking of getting around or getting here and there, have y'all been able to navigate
the Mindy joke?
No. Getting to around the Dreaming City very well. It, to me, like I said earlier, is kind of overwhelming in a good way. Like, I love it. But it's like, wow, I have no idea where to go. And unless I'm looking up YouTube videos, I really don't know. Like, you get your bounties from Petra. That's like the one designated thing other than the blind well, which we can talk about too. But you get your bounties, and then it's like, where is this stuff? Like, it's like, do your Ascendant challenge thing. And I'm like, what's the Ascendant challenge? Like, unless I'm talking with people or someone's showing me, I just have no idea where anything is. And I think that's the point. They wanted to add back in mystery, and I really like that. And I think if I were to the point where I had walked around the Dreaming Cities some more, maybe I could do it without looking at YouTube and stuff. But right now I'm just like, I'm so lost. I feel like I'm just not supposed to be here. I'm in the wrong place right now all the time. But it's awesome having a world that feels like it's not constricted to just the area of the map. Like, I feel like I'm going off the map all the time, down following random portals and hallways and old temples that look like they got telescopes, and I don't know. It's crazy. How are y'all feeling about the Dreaming City?
I mean, I like it. It's even as just kind of, because let's be honest. If you really boil it down, it's just a new patrol space that is like higher light, right?
Yes,
and has some different stuff.
Yes, but no other patrol space has Ascendant realms in it. So,
but I mean, it's just a different looking patrol space.
But it's huge. Like, it's
size isn't everything, Lego.
I know, but the detail and the way it looks is amazing.
The key thing here is how do you use it? That's the important part.
Okay. I think you might be right. Because I'm trying to figure out, like, if I really enjoy like these activities, running around with the Ascendant stuff.
Are we back to talking about the Dreaming City?
Yeah. Okay. And I think it's built for the people who are raid mystery people, just the, like, looking for raid secrets. That's what I'm looking for. Like, raid secret group of people is what it feels like it's been for. But it's been fun solo. Like, I don't want to, like, this, all that I'm saying is not a knock on anything. Like, it's amazing how big it is.
It's definitely much more detailed than past ones. Like, even if there's nothing in an area, there's so many places where you can, like, keep jumping up on, like, little ledges on walls, like up mountains.
Yeah.
That one lost sector, you kind of have to, like, drop way down onto this ledge that it almost feels like you're falling off like the map.
Yeah.
Like, it's much more detailed. Yeah. Even, like I said, some of those places, like, I jumped up all these things and there was nothing there. But, like, it just felt like it wasn't just this arena that had, like,
What's weird, though, is you keep jumping around and everything feels so distinctly put there. Like, I should jump up there. And if there's not something there, you're like, will there be something there later?
Right, when things change, when it changes.
Or you can change it yourself by taking one of those Queen's Foil tinctures or whatever, and it lets you go to the Ascendant Realm, and then you can see things you couldn't see before, which is so interesting. I almost wish there was a way to do that without having an item that you had to use that is kind of expensive and random also to drop or to buy. So, expensive to buy, rare to drop. I heard it wasn't rare, but I guess I just don't spend that much time in PvE stuff. So I just need to spend more time there overall for me. But it's crazy how much, like you said, Hove, is distinct. Like, oh, there's this jumping thing. What's this jumping thing lead to? And then you get up there and you're like, I don't think there's anything here. But
well, you said it's very distinct. Like, there was one part that I like. Trying to think where it was. I want to say. Do you know where there's the one public event where you have to like defend that thing?
By Petra, the one that's the
integrity of that. By Petra.
Yeah, it's pretty close to Petra.
Uh-huh.
But if you don't go off towards Petra, if you go kind of, there's an archway you go under, and then it kind of goes up a mountain.
Yeah.
There's a path up there, but on the side of the mountain, I remember I was jumping up there with these very, like you said, very obvious platforms, and I came to like a very small cave. And I was like, ooh, what's in here? And then it just dead-ended in there. But like you said, it's very obviously, like, they put it there. So what's going to be in there? Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh-huh. I was looking up some of the stuff about the Ascendant challenges that you have to do. And it looks like people who have played this already know for sure, like they're in different places, like every week the challenge has been different. And I don't know are those portals open all the time, or is it just open for that challenge, and they just appear. And so I wonder if maybe new portals will appear in those secret areas or whatever. I don't know. Like you said, we have no idea how the world's going to change. Triton, have you jumped around in that area much?
Yeah, I've
jumped
used,
around.
I did use YouTube for the most part to get all the region chests, and I think I've done 2 of the 3 lost sectors. And I think when I was getting the region chests, I did try to explore a little bit on my own. I think the first time I actually explored the Dreaming City was with actually Hove and our friend Dewey, when we were kind of just doing as many things as we could. And I mentioned them before, and at the time, but I've mentioned before when we talked about like what we really wanted from D2, in it kind of having that environment where you can kind of see the result of what you're doing. Now, you can't necessarily see that in the Dreaming City per se, but you get all your patrols from awoken soldiers, which I think is really cool as opposed to just the beacon. And I like that they have little hub stations around there, and if enemies get too close, they fight back. And I think that kind of creates an interactive world. So in that way, I do think that it's very distinct. But I do,
they fight back? Really?
If an enemy, like the one
I didn't notice
in the
that.
spawn point, the Taken eventually kind of make their way into that cave where they're held out, right outside where that Taken Blight event happens.
Cool.
And they do actually fight the Taken in those instances. So I think that's kind of neat. And I think that makes the area distinct.
And actually, in that same space where that public event was that we were talking about near Petra, there's a spot where like it's just like 3 Taken, and they spawn there and fight the people in the cave, and then they spawn there and they fight the people in the cave.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's neat to kind of see those things around and happening. So I do enjoy that. But I've tried to find some of the secrets. Like I've done some platforming and kind of found that lost sector, because like you see it on the map and you're like, it's not here. There's no way it's down here, right? I'll just die if I fall down here. But then you can kind of go a little bit to the left and then drop down where there's a bridge, and there's a bunch of caves down there. And I just happened to find like a bunch of chests, and there's a region chest down there, and then you kind of snake along the path underneath the waterfall, and there's the lost sector. So I think those things, the design of it is really neat. I haven't done the Ascendant challenges. I've done I think 2 blind wells all at tier 1 the first week, but I haven't done a tier 2, and I haven't done one probably since. But there seems like there's a lot of things there. As Hove mentioned, it's kind of a higher light level patrol space that kind of seems like the end game place that you want to be. And now I'm kind of capped at like I think 521 is my highest light, and I'm starting to wonder like maybe it's because I haven't spent as much time in there as I have in maybe other spaces.
Yeah.
Also,
it's because you need to get good, but
yeah,
that's very possible.
I did hear that the light, like there are powerful engrams you can get everywhere else, but the powerful ones that you get to drop in there, or anything that you get to drop in there that is higher light, is much higher light than you would get in a different activity. Apparently, that's been confirmed via some YouTube video.
How much higher,
Dado or something. I don't know.
I don't believe you without valid numbers and proof.
Just go YouTube Dado. And
Dado's not on this podcast.
There is something else I want. Oh, the blind well. I did get to do a tier 1, 2, and 3. I'm only light level 519 or something like that.
Is that disappointing to you?
What?
That we're 519 and you're able to do a tier 3 already?
I didn't beat it. I just said I did it. I played it. I was only able. We had like. I didn't have a group of 9 either. I only had like 7 people with us, I think, and it was me and Bot and a bunch of randoms. And I was just trying to do tier 2, but someone put in a tier 3, and I was like, I have no idea if we can do this. And there's 3 like big yellow bar bosses in the tier 3, and we got 2 of them down, but then the time ran out before we could even really hurt the 3rd one. But I did several tier 2s, and I'm still pretty low light level, and was able to do that.
I was under 510, and we did 2 tier 2s. First one, we barely got through because we were learning it. Second one, we pretty much breezed through it.
Yeah, there's rumors that the tiers will go...
Or was it straight up?
Ours were straight up.
There's rumors that the tiers will get higher, and I think one of the reasons the tier 3 we were even able to get as far as we did was because people were using the Telesto cheese.
Well,
in there.
Were you using the Telesto cheese?
No,
Lego?
I wasn't.
Fusion rifle?
I was not.
Mr. Fusion rifle?
But the thing, I do have some thoughts about Blindwell.
Real quick before you get to your thoughts.
Yeah.
Tinks made a really good point in chat. Whenever I asked if you were disappointed that you were able to do a tier 3 and you explained that you attempted it but weren't able to finish it, Tink said, so he's disappointing, not disappointed.
Yes. Exactly. So the Blindwell, I want to get some thoughts on that. I think y'all played it. I felt like it was a fine activity. Like, it was fun. I feel like it's getting a lot of praise right now from people for like all the reviews I'm reading are like, it's like a mix of Court of Oryx and Escalation Protocol, and it's awesome. And to me, I felt like Escalation Protocol was the better version of Court of Oryx and Archon's Forge. Like, I don't want to go back to that, and yet we went back to it, and I feel like we're worse off for it, like, in my opinion.
The only part that I liked better about those was the fact that you could trigger it, like, different tiers. Like, I liked that.
Oh, really? See, that's fine. I just don't like having a token system for it, like to like put in stuff to get it going. I didn't like that. This is the main thing for me, is that it is in a completely like isolated area, and people were praising it for this, that if you're going there for this purpose. But to me, half the time, more than half, like 90% of the time I go in there, there's nobody there. And so
that's one thing I definitely liked about Escalation Protocol. Even if someone was there not doing it, if you started it, a lot of times they would jump in.
Yeah.
This was my huge thing that I loved about Escalation Protocol, was that you spawn into that area. Like, there are always people running around, and even if they weren't there to do that thing, you could start it up, and like maybe 50% of the time the people there would jump in with you to do it. Like, it made it so much more inviting and created that community of Bungie players, like Destiny players, wanting to do activities together. It just naturally happened, and here you kind of have to force it to happen. And so I don't really understand why it's getting so much praise for being in this isolated space. Like, I liked it better when it was at the spawn location.
I think that's still part of the honeymoon phase.
Okay.
Everybody who's getting to it is doing it right now, right? So if you go in there, a lot of times you're going to have people. I think once you see things slow down, where maybe people are on their 3rd character or something and they need to go in there, and there's way fewer people trying to run it, you'll start to see some of those complaints, I would think, just being less populated. But I agree completely. Like, I want to say at the get-go from Warmind, one of the biggest things that people really liked about Escalation Protocol was that it was in a public space.
Yes.
And I get that that it's, quote, a public space, but it wasn't a public space that had anything else going on. Whereas Escalation
right
Protocol,
next to it.
Yeah. So no, I'm completely with you on that. I don't like I said, I like being able to choose kind of the difficulty, because then it does kind of make it a little bit shorter. I mean, not that Escalation Protocol was really long, but like sometimes if you were just going for, the weapon and you had to do 7 tiers every time, like that could get a little bit tedious. So I like being able to trigger it at different tiers, but I agree with you completely. I don't understand the thought process behind moving it to its own instance again, something you have to load into.
It feels kind of like we're going backwards. I agree with you about the tier system. Like, I think that's fine, and it's fun that it's an activity that takes so little time to do. Like, it doesn't take up as much time as running through a full thing of Escalation Protocol. But we'll see. Like you said, like we'll see how it plays out. I think that one thing that people would like if it was in an isolated area or not isolated, but its own space, is that if you could matchmake into that space. That is what I think some people are looking for, and that would be nice because we want easy ways to connect with other players. So I feel like if you're gonna make it in a space that's way far away, that people have to specifically go to and that doesn't spawn in other people half the time, then you should make that area be able to be spawned into with other players. That would make sense to me. I don't know.
For sure. Sorry, I was
Triton,
talking.
did you have any other thoughts
chat.
on tier?
I mean, I think I agree with both your guys' points, and I think too, like when it runs dry and you're on your third character, you may not go and get those, the tiers to do that. I remember when we were doing Court of Oryx and I was trying to get was a Touch of Malice, and you needed those calcified fragments, and a couple of them were related to those level 3 bosses, but a couple of them were related to beating the combinations at level 2. Remember, and you had to get like a Taken guy and a Hive guy maybe, or the Witches and the Knights. You had to do those combinations, so you had to like pour in tier 2s and hope that was the case, and if not, jump out. Well, getting those like material to do that wasn't always necessarily easy too, and you'd hate to be in a situation where someone doesn't really even want to have to do this, and then they have to go get some type of item to even get to that point. So I don't really like those kind of two-step systems. So I don't know if there's something that can be done at this point. I definitely agree we're in the honeymoon phase. But for the most part, I think the thing I'm most, I don't want to say disappointed about is that, this seems like to be the only other way you can get the seed. And I think Matt asked us, he didn't ask us about
some seed, I can got you.
And I do want to credit Matt Grundy. He's a friend, so I happen to see this be his question directed towards DCP. But if this is the only place that you can get the seed, and this is like an end game activity for Forsaken people only, does it close off the subclasses if you don't have this? I mean, do you not have access to the other 9 supers? I don't know that, actually. I don't know if you don't have Forsaken, can you even unlock any of the 9
No, you
supers?
can't.
You can't. Okay,
You
so
can't.
that doesn't matter then. Okay.
Yeah, I'm playing with friends that haven't bought Forsaken yet. One of them's about to, and one of them is undecided still, just because it's the complicated thing of like they didn't buy the Warmine and Curse of Osiris DLCs, and so they were like, "Oh, $40 Forsaken, I'm gonna do it," and then it's like, actually, you need to buy the DLCs before you can get Forsaken, or buy the legendary version of Forsaken that costs $20 more
To get the 2 previous ones.
To get the 2 previous ones, yeah.
Okay. I guess that makes sense because you only get the super within the story of Forsaken. So
I feel
still,
like that
I
should be DLC.
Yeah. I don't know if there was
Counterpoint.
another way to get it.
Counterpoint to that, Triton, because I don't necessarily, like, I'm not a big PvE player, and I've had trouble finding people whenever I go to the blind well. But I like that I am forced to go there, because that means other people are forced to go there to do that activity, which means there's more people doing it more. I need incentive to do that activity, or I wouldn't go do it, basically is what I'm saying. I wish that the weapons that you get from there, maybe, I don't know, we haven't had enough time to see, but I haven't seen any posts that's been like, this gun from this place, like the Escalation Protocol weapons were like, these guns are the guns, like, come get these guns. There hasn't been that with Blind Well yet, and once there is, then maybe there will be more incentive to grind it, but I haven't seen that yet. I think random rolls helps, because there are some cool guns, but I just haven't seen anything for me in particular.
So 2 things before we get too far from the Blind Well. Matt Grundy, again, always participating. He said there's a tier 4 that we haven't unlocked yet.
I thought I heard there was multiple
cool.
tiers.
Which is neat.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I guess we probably shouldn't be surprised about the way they did it. Because, let's look at it this way. The way it is, with it being its own instance, its own area, that you may or may not find anyone, right? So you can still take in a fire team of 3 correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because you were in your own fire team. So we're talking about having been able to almost do tier 3 at like 520, 519, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was only 509. So you think, if we get all close to 600, and there's 3 of us, it should be very doable, right? Theoretically, if we're able to do it. Okay. Do you remember when them saying over and over again, we didn't mean for this to be something you had to have 9 people for? Like...
Yes. It's supposed to be 3 people.
Yeah, so if they're only making it for 3 people, it doesn't need to be somewhere where you can find 9 people. I'm not saying I agree or disagree.
Yeah.
But the way that they've said that they wanted Escalation Protocol to be, this really, like, lends to that, right? Like, you can go in with 3.
I see what you're saying.
But it's hard to get 9 because they didn't design it to be 6 or 9.
You would think they would have learned from Escalation Protocol something.
But I feel like that was probably a big... I mean...
Yeah, they might have already been working on this next one. Yeah.
Or sometimes it's
Probably.
an overcorrection from something that they did learn. And so they kind of they swing a little bit harder to a degree as opposed to kind of landing on a sweet spot, which, lots of people do. So...
Yeah. We started talking about weapons for a second with the blinding well, the blind well. Is there any, because we've got crazy random rolls happening right now, not just on weapons but on armor too, which has been very interesting for me. Like, I'm inspecting every single drop that I get from Crucible, from Vanguard, from even Gambit has its own specific weapon set, that's dropping, and then we've got mods on top of that. So I've found that even old weapons that I already have, like the Arantel fusion rifle that I love so much, has new updated versions of it that come with an extra perk, basically, that can randomly roll. Plus, you can masterwork it differently now and slowly increase that masterwork thing up to 10, which increases a certain stat. Plus, you can put a mod on it. So there's so many factors in a, quote unquote god roll that you can get. So what are some of the things that y'all have either liked, or have there been like some weapons that y'all are like, oh my gosh, this gun, this roll, like, are y'all having that feeling again? Because I'm like inspecting everything and I'm loving it. Like, it's so interesting to me now.
So I have 2 that I really, really like. And I don't have all that many yet, because like I said, I have played a lot of PvP, so I'm kind of getting those same, like Crucible guns, and I have been playing Spooderman. But, one, I haven't gotten a single mod yet on a gun. I have not had a gun drop. Oh,
really?
Mod. But
it took me a long time, but now I have had maybe like 3 drop, and then plus like 2 armor ones drop.
I'm not complaining, because we're still only 9 days into it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But that Go Figure pulse rifle I talked about earlier, the 4 burst with head seeker and under pressure and stability, and I got a sidearm that I can't remember the name of, but with whatever barrel it came with, and it came with full auto and kill clip, but with whatever barrel, the stability bar is 100% maxed. There is.
Is it the Crucible one, Hove?
I think so.
Is it that Autumn one?
No.
Something like that?
No, well, then it must not be Crucible. I don't remember. I know which one you're talking about. Autonomous Autumn or something.
Yeah, that one.
Or Anonymous Autumn, one or the other. No, I forget what it's called, but it's a full auto burst sidearm that has maxed stability. Like, the first day I was using it, I couldn't hit headshots, not because I couldn't aim with it, but because I was hitting them in like the chest, because I was overcompensating with the recoil, because there was like no recoil.
That's so
I
weird.
mean, we know 3 burst sidearms are good. So it's very, very good. Let me see what it's called.
Man, I'm jealous you got full auto and the kill clip you said. That's a pretty good call. I got one of those sidearms, but it's full auto but no kill clip. But I might
be lying about kill clip. TBH.
Well, as I was kind of looking that up, one of my favorites has been actually Smuggler's Run, which I think is the sidearm that goes in the primary slot. So I really I've never really kind of given those too much of a chance. I think Last Hope was the only one that I really enjoyed from the first year of Destiny 2. But I like the fact that, with all the things you mentioned, Lego, you're encouraged to try to give the new things a chance. And given the kind
absolutely.
of steep cost to infuse and the unexpected need for masterwork cores, it definitely has a lot of people thinking twice. So I've pretty much given every gun I get a chance, and I've really been satisfied with that. I love the Misfit auto rifle that's in the energy slot. I think I use that actually to get a bounty done in the Crucible, like get X amount of energy or arc kills in the Crucible mine drop with arc. So I use that, and I really like that. The Aether Doctor, which is the auto rifle for in the kinetic slot, I've enjoyed that. Obviously, the Smuggler's Run, the bows, of course. I think the only ones I don't really enjoy are the kind of rehashes of Play of the Game, or any of the grenade launchers, really. I don't really enjoy. I've tried to use Edge Transit. I really have, and Play of the Game. Haven't enjoyed those, but have really pretty much enjoyed most of the other weapons. But I actually think Smuggler's Run is probably my favorite. I don't even think I have a good roll on it, but it is a 3-burst. It just seems to have a little bit more range to it, and I was using it in a strike, and I was just like killing everything, and I was like, man, I'm glad I gave this a try, because I happened to glance at some of my PvP things the other day, and I think I have like 4 sidearm kills ever. So I'm like, maybe I'll give this a try the next time I play PvP, because I only have 4, which is likely last hope kills from the first year of Destiny 2.
That's awesome.
So I found it. It's called The Last Dance. It's the Vanguard sidearm.
Okay, yeah.
It has flared magwell for the stability and greatly increasing reload speed. The sight is Control SAS, which increases handling and stability. Full auto and rangefinder.
Rangefinder, nice. That's good.
And I still haven't masterworked it. So the impact 75, range is 36, stability is 100.
Damn.
Handling is 66.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's for a burst sidearm, it's gross.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. I've got there are a few others that I'm really liking right now, but one of them, man, I really like I haven't had a good roll on it, but I really like the Trust hand cannon that you get from Gambit. It's kind of a prelude for me to getting to the hand cannon that drops from competitive, because I've been grinding out competitive like crazy, trying to get Luna's Howl, and seeing clips of people use it. It looks like it kind of has the same recoil pattern as Trust, 180 RPM. The only difference is Luna's Howl can 3-tap with precision hits and Trust can't. But it's still just a fun gun to use. But I have got a couple of sniper rifles I need to try out that all have snapshot on them. Mainly, I got an auto rifle. I got 2 things from the Dreaming City that one of them I tried out a little bit, and that is the Tiger Spite auto rifle. Mesa Sean put up a big review about it. And then, so that one's pretty nice. It has high cal on it, which is cool. And then also I got a shotgun to drop that has like 80 range or something like that. High impact, full auto, full choke, like all the perks that you would want. It's not full auto like Hawthorne's. It's much slower firing, but it's like a heavy hitter shotgun with like a ton of range. So I haven't tried it out in Crucible yet, but I'm excited to try it out. It's my highest light level thing in my energy slot right now. But yeah, I'm really enjoying like almost every weapon type. It's just exciting. It's funny thinking back on this podcast when we originally started, like over 100 episodes ago, like before we even recorded a show. I remember having a conversation with Triton where I was like we were like thinking about the just the idea of this podcast, and I was like, back in D1, I was like, what if we did like one that just talked about like weapon rolls and like all the different random stuff we could get. We're like, well, maybe that won't be enough. Maybe we need to add some more stuff to it. And then the podcast became what it is. But I was so excited about every, different roles back in D1. And this is like 10 times that. It's honeymoon phase too, but at the same time, it's like, I'm that excited about every roll, every drop, every armor piece, and so much more so than I even was in D1 because of the Masterworks and because of the mod system. So it's pretty exciting right now to me.
Do you know what I thought about as far as like how to do the podcast?
Spider-Man.
No, what? This is a serious conversation. Like I wouldn't. No, in all seriousness, that reminded me of something that I was going to bring up today and then I forgot. Maybe we'll do it the next couple weeks. But I was thinking now that we're like 101, it's kind of the next 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it would be time to do like a refresher of like as we have new people coming to the game, like, who the fuck are these guys talking on my screen, and why should I listen to them?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like, it's a new, like, you know? No?
You mean, like, do another episode 1 type
Not a
of thing?
full episode, but just kind of like a, hey, you know, so now that we're 100 episodes in, some of you may not have any idea why these people are yelling at each other.
And to be honest, no one really knows. We're nobodies.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, no one should be listening to us, but at least they will know who we are.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, no, totally. We should totally do that. I think it's a great idea. But for now, do y'all want to jump to the TWAB? Because it talks a little bit about a little thing coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we should do the TWAB. But I do want to say, I do want to kind of like put a pin in the infuse system, and as of right now, I kind of think that maybe the mod system, and I'm hopeful, so I'm not gonna judge right now, but it might be just a little bit shallow. And I think actually I agreed a lot with Ramlin's tweet about it, like just making the mod super rare, or cost 10 components to just get one doesn't exactly. It's not creating depth. That's not exactly what they said. That's what they're doing, but again, so far I haven't found been blown away by the mod system in any way. I think it's just making the things that we would have gotten potentially a little bit more rare.
Okay, see, I kind of like it right now, but that's because I'm like in that for the long haul, and I don't mind it taking a long time for those mods to drop. I have had a few drop though, which might be more success than others have had. But there's a lot. I haven't seen one Icarus one yet. Right. So
I'm not frustrated by the raid. I'm not frustrated by if it takes time to acquire them, that's not a big deal. Yeah. But when you acquire them, they're very in some ways similar to what we had in some ways. Now it's like grenade regeneration speed and things like that, which I think we had more in like Destiny 1. Like that's cool and all, but I don't. That's not what I thought the mod system would be. But again, I do think we should move to the TWAB. That could be another episode, the next one. But right. I do want to. Those things are on my radar to talk about the infuse and also the mod system that we currently have. Yeah,
I got a lot of thoughts about it too. I'm with you, Triton. I guess we will just get to that next week because we got some exciting stuff for tomorrow. We got the raid coming out, and that's what a lot of the beginning of this TWAB is about. And there's some really freaking cool stuff Bungie's doing with the raid release. One is if within the first 24 hours you beat the raid, in addition, just first 24 hours, any player who beats the raid will receive Wish Ascendant emblem, which is a really cool emblem. It reminds me of one of the emblems from D1, but made completely awesome and D2ified. Totally. So that's awesome that you get something in game, because last week they talked about how the first team to beat it will get an actual wrestlers winning belt, which is awesome.
Winning belt?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, Lego, we know you didn't watch wrestling. I think last week came to light that you'd never watched it.
I almost didn't mention it. I was like, I don't want to embarrass myself. But on top of all of this, so any players within the first 24 hours will get this in-game emblem. And on top of that, any player who beats Last Wish before 10 a.m. PDT Tuesday, September 18th, will have access to a personalized Last Wish raid jacket, which you can customize with your name and everything. Which is
I can't say I'm ever gonna wear a raid jacket.
I can't say I am either, but it's pretty fly for the people who do want the option.
I mean, it's cool that they're adding something like that. I mean, I'm more the t-shirt guy for the Trines, but I do want to say, as I'm looking at Hove's face, it is, adding more incentive to do it, adding another kind of a different thing that people can go after. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But I agree, I can't see myself wearing that jacket.
Here's the deal, though. The exclusivity of having the 24-hour, if you beat it first day, basically, you get an emblem.
I think is great.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. I'm all for it. Even though I won't be one of the ones who will probably do that, I think it's so cool for the people that do get it.
Can we, I know this isn't something we usually do, but can we do a second take on that part and cut out Lego and redo it so that we can do a take where Lego doesn't use the word fly to describe that jacket?
Nope, I'm definitely keeping with that word. That's
right.
is that your final answer? Yes, it is.
That's nothing like that.
Yes, it is.
That was like a popular catchphrase from a TV show. Fly was not. It's not.
And also used in a song, right? That pretty fly for a white guy. That's what I thought of.
Yeah, but even that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I agree. It was not recent.
Things change.
You don't ever think. You don't ever look at someone and just be like, man.
No, I've literally never
fly.
once thought that ever in my life.
No, I think
never
that.
once.
I totally
would
think
love
that.
to disagree with you, but I have also never done.
You
that.
actually think to yourself like, man, that's fly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
No, this is serious, Lego. This is serious business.
I'm being serious right now.
You think, man, that's fly.
I don't know if I would say it that way to myself, but yes, in so many words, yes. Okay,
wow.
So next up,
you learn something new about people every day. You think you know someone.
We do learn something new, and we learned that Iron Banner is coming back super soon. I can't believe it's coming back September 18th.
Yeah,
Tuesday.
Next week.
So yeah, next week. And that
Control.
seems so fast. Like I feel like we're still doing stuff, like so many
good.
other things.
I think that's good, and I think I'm glad it's Control. And I think there's a new map with that, right? Or like a revision of another map or an old map.
Oh, really? I didn't see anything about that.
I think it's something like to that effect. Like with it, it's going to bring. I think they've
yeah.
like
I do
a
see
revision
that.
of another map.
That'll be fun. Yeah, reprise Crucible map, instantly available to all Destiny 2 players.
Doesn't say what it is though, does it?
No, it does not. But we got some gear, we got some weapons, we got a new system for Iron Banner. There's a few new things. One is enabling power advantages is happening, so light level looks like it's going to matter. And then also the way that you get your rewards, there's going to be bounties and bounties that are tied specifically to the 2 weapons with unique roles per event. So you can I guess you can get it randomly to drop, or you can do these bounties to get specific roles. Yeah. Which I think sounds cool.
I think it sounds pretty fly.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fly for an Iron Banner guy.
Oh my.
The armor though, I don't feel like looks that great to me personally. I don't know. Like it looks like very similar to what we got last season 3, I guess, to me. Just more ornamenty looking. It looks like an ornament of that set to me.
Well, I didn't play in season 3, but I did tell you guys when we were, before the show, we were kind of going through the TWAB, that it basically looked like the Lost Boys armor from the movie Hook. And while I really enjoy that movie and like running around like Rufio wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, I just think for the most part it's just not that cool looking.
Yeah, maybe it's just not my style. Maybe there's somebody else out there who they think it looks fly.
It's one of my favorite movies, by the way. Very underrated.
You know what I think does look awesome though? The
early
weapons that they showcase there, that it's a grenade launcher, so I don't really care about that, but that scout rifle looks pretty sweet.
Lego is having none of our tangents right now.
Why would you lead with grenade? Yeah, I mean, we really could have gone on like this Hook thing
I know.
and then talked
How
about
do you
like
feel
early
about
90s
Hook?
Robbie Williams. Look, early 90s Robin Williams is great.
How do you feel
Look.
about Hook, Lego?
No.
Come on.
Hook's awesome.
Thank you.
There we go. It wasn't hard.
Yeah, I love that TV show.
Fuck you. I can't even.
I'm just
No, in all seriousness.
So, in all seriousness, that scout rifle.
Just tell me if you like the movie Hook.
I do. No, I said I do.
You also said I love that TV show.
No, that was messing with you.
I like the part where he finally starts using his imagination and starts throwing all that like colored Play-Doh at them.
When he's doing like that bangarang moment.
Yeah,
when they're eating the food.
And you know how many times I watched the part where he throws the coconut out and he slices it?
Hope, I'm just wondering if you want any time to talk about Spider-Man, because I don't think you're going to get it.
I didn't think you were going to let me.
Wait, I thought he already had in the beginning.
Yeah, I had my time.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right, Triton.
Don't grant more.
I got places to go after this. I got places to be.
Like the Avengers Tower? Is that where you're going?
No, in real life, the Avengers Tower doesn't exist.
Are you sure?
It would be super fly if it did.
Don't crush my dreams, Hove. So let's see. After that in the TWAB, they showed some art and stuff. Talked about they're doing a new Bungie bounty for like a lot of different
countries.
time zones, a lot of different days, a lot of different countries.
That's cool, and across all the platforms too, which I think is cool too. Starting with PlayStation,
really cool.
but
I just want
like
the
that a
movie
lot.
The Week Emblem, so let's do something cool.
To reenact Hope in Destiny.
I feel like there was one more thing in here.
Do you know what would be very fitting?
What would be, Hove?
If we made some sort of video with Pretty Fly for a White Guy as the music, and it was like a music video.
No, it would not be cool. No one wants to watch that.
You don't even know what it would be. I didn't even come up with an idea yet.
It doesn't matter.
It would be like...
It's already bad.
I don't really enjoy that song. I just remember it, so...
It was a good song. It was The Offspring.
It was okay. Like, I mean, maybe it's because like that was like the TRL time, and that music video I thought sucked.
I don't remember
Back
the
in,
music
like, those
video.
late 90s. Like that late 90s TRL. You remember? It was a dude who wore like the FUBU. It was like a FUBU blue shirt and like yellow numbers. And I remember the FUBU shirts. Like that was
It was
him
like
in the
satire.
video.
It was a joke.
Yeah, but I just thought the video sucked.
Why
Well,
think you suck?
Is there
I hate
anything Destiny related that y'all would like to touch on before we take off for episode 101?
Yeah, my Destiny.
They never put FUBU armor in the game.
My Destiny to play Spider-Man. Hey, Lego. I mean, well, Lego, you can come too. Triton, you want to go to the thick house with me?
Negative.
Oh, well, this has been
Lego, do you wanna
Lego,
come?
aka Legole Flash. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube at Lego LE Flash. Hove, where can they find you? I don't even want to ask. Triton, where can they find you?
Wow.
Upgraded to second
Wow.
this week. Wow. Well, you can find
This
me
will be the
mainly
first
on
time you
Twitter.
ever that I'm not sec. Oh, I'm done.
I'm definitely taking this opportunity. So you can find me on Twitter under Triton Please, all one word, the please being PLZ. Would love to interact with you there. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitch. I'm not really doing too much there at this current time, but maybe sometime in the future I will. And how about you, Hove, going last?
I can't believe this.
Can they find you on can they find you on Spider-Man, or
Yeah.
could they find you watching the raid tomorrow maybe? Like,
Yeah,
do you have any...
You know what's funny?
What?
With my new job, it's much easier for me to get time off. So on Monday, I was like, you know what? I don't really want to work Friday. So I just submitted some time off, and I'm off tomorrow.
Did you not even think about it for the raid? Were
I
you
mean,
just like-
kind of, but then I played so much
Yeah.
Spider-Man, I'm not raid ready anyway. But wait, don't get me. You know I'm easily distracted. This isn't fair.
Exactly. I was utilizing this to my advantage.
It was 101 episodes, and of all the other switching around and Triton and Mana and Wilson and who comes and who goes, it's always been Lego and then Hove, because we've been the mainstays here, and you just threw me right under the bus.
You still got your moment in the sun, Hove. I just helped Triton out for a second. That's all I was doing.
You can find me at Twitch. Done with this podcast. Twitch.tv/Hove76. Twitter @Hove76. All of them. You can find me. You know, if you see Lego or Triton, I'll be right behind them. After them. So that's how you can find me. Because Lego's first, Triton's second, I'm third. So if you see them, you know I'll be coming after.
I feel like in some way or another, by the end of every episode, I've destroyed like some dream of Hove's to either his place in something or some story he wanted to tell, or he just sounds. It's like the life has been taken out of you by some shutdown that I performed on you.
This is.
It's just like real Destiny when we're playing together, and I shut you down with a sniper rifle or a bow.
Get out of my face. We talk up Lego about how he's such a good guy, and he's just been just shoving me to the ground for 101 weeks now, just putting me down under this guise that he's a great human being.
Well, I may not be a great human being, but you know who is great is Blue Microphones and Headphones for supplying us with all of these beautiful microphones and headphones that we have today. And man, I can't wait to do the next giveaway because of all the news we got about we can give away so many more products than we used to be able to.
Go ahead, tell them what products, and then I'll tell you why you're bad at this.
Yeah, I'm already bad at this because I don't remember all the products.
So Blue Yeti microphone in one of, I believe, 7 colors. Blue Lola headphones, Yeti Nano microphone, the Compass boom arm for the Yeti or Yeti Nano, and the final one is
the shock
mount, which is this guy right here.
Yeah.
Oh, also, since I'll add this in, since I don't know the last time we actually remembered to do it, I'm going to blame it on Lego, but we've all forgotten. I just remembered the other day. You can also, if you'd like any of those things, even if you don't win and you want some stuff, you can use code RezoCast at checkout for a nice 20% discount.
20%.
Which is actually really good.
It's
I'm
really
very
good,
happy about that. So if you get a pair, you get a Yeti. You get a Yeti for, what is it, $100, $120? So you're gonna get $24 off of that. That's pretty
awesome.
Fantastic.
That was some math skills right there.
I'm good at math. That's how I know that I was third today. Can I also tell you? As much Spider-Man as I've played, I'm only 30%. It tells you a percentage. I'm only 30% of the way through the story.
You haven't played that much then, have you?
Yeah.
No, really? Okay.
Yeah, I've just been doing all the side stories, and I won't fast travel, so that probably has something to do with it.
That's what's taking up all your time. Is
in all seriousness, I just got really good at it.
Building to building.
And it's like, oh, now you can fast travel.
Nah,
like,
I don't think so.
No. Spider-Man doesn't fast travel.
You can also find RezoCast at RezoCast on Twitter. Find us on iTunes. And on YouTube, depending on where you want to watch or listen to us at. Thank you, everyone who's left us a review, left us a comment. We appreciate and love every single one of you. You can find more about Team Resolute at Team Resolute on Twitter.
They've been very active lately.
Yes. No, we're full force now. Now that Forsaken's out, we got new recruits, so we're out and about now, wrecking shop. Or at least... Chibi Kim and Watts and all them going on their 6 stacks like every night in the Crucible. They're actually wrecking shop.
Yeah, that's super fly.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this week at RezoCast. Until next time. GG.
Spooderman does whatever a spooder can. Just so you know, we didn't
30-minute outro.
We didn't host anybody today because that was too perfect. When I was like, Spooderman does whatever a spooder can.
Ended it?
I just ended it right there.
Oh. That's it. I mean, it looked like, because the helmet for the Titan looked like the Shredder
what?
helm, kind of. The helmet.
The helmet.
The helmet.